Hello, it's Jess from But First Crochet, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to do the granny stitch, which is the stitch that I used for my granny gratitude blanket. And it is a fun and versatile stitch. It works up quickly, it's easy and mindless. It may be my favorite stitch. So let me show you how it's done so that you can make a granny gratitude blanket or use it in your next crochet project. So today I'm using some worsted weight acrylic yarn. This particular colorway is called Blossomopolis from Hobby Lobby. I'm using a Clover Amour I 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, and I've got some scissors and a yarn needle handy. So for the granny stitch, you can make your swatch or blanket or project whatever size you need, but you want to make sure that you're using multiples of 3 plus 1. So for the swatch that I'm going to do for you guys as practice, we're going to do our multiple of 3 is going to be 15, then an additional chain, which is going to mean it is 16. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, insert my hook, tighten up my slip knot. Make sure you have plenty of room for the yarn to slide freely up and down your crochet hook. And I'm going to start chaining 16. So I hold my yarn by wrapping it around my pinky and then going in between my index and middle finger, and this helps me with my tension. And that's just a little tip for anyone who might be new to crochet. So yarn over, pull through your hook to make your first chain. Again, we're going to make 16 chains. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. 16 chains. The granny stitch is alternating a 2-row repeat, but we're not going to count this first row in that repeat. So to start off the granny stitch, we're going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So here is our chain on the hook, and this is the first chain from the hook, the 2nd chain, the 3rd chain, and this is the 4th chain from the hook, and this is where we're going to start our row. So to do the double crochet stitch, we will yarn over and insert our hook into the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here, you should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook. You should have 2 loops remaining. Yarn over again and pull through those remaining 2 loops on the hook. So that completes 1 double crochet. And for this row, this counts as 2 double crochets. Our turn chain counts as a stitch. So next we're going to skip 2 chains. So we're going to skip this one and this one, and our next stitch will go in this 3rd chain. So skip 2. We worked in this chain, we're going to skip this one and this one. And now we're going to place 3 double crochets in the next chain. So make 1 double crochet, Then insert your hook back into that same chain to make another double crochet. So that is 2. And then one more time to make 3. So that is a 3 double crochet cluster, and that is what you're going to do throughout the granny stitch sequence. So for the rest of the row, we're going to continue to skip 2 chains. So skip 1, skip 2, and place 3 double crochets in that next chain. So there's 1, 2, 3. Skip 2 chains again, 3 double crochets in the next chain, and you'll do that all the way to the end of your row until you have 3 stitches or chains left, depending on how many chains you started with initially. So at the end of this first row, we're going to skip 2, and we're going to place 2 double crochets in the last chain. So that will complete our first row. You should have 3 double crochet clusters if you chained 16 like me, with 2 double crochet clusters on each side. And you'll see as we build up, these will alternate, the sides will alternate between having 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, as we repeat the sequence. So to start the next row, we will chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and turn your work like flipping a page in a book. And you're going to make 3 double crochets in this space, the gap that you made from the row below. So yarn over, and in this big space here, you're going to double crochet 3 times. So that's 1, 2, 3. You'll skip the next cluster and make another cluster of 3 double crochets in the next gap. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, make your 3 double crochets in this space. So you continue that all the way across, making a cluster of 3 double crochets in each space from the row below until you get to the end, and I'll show you what to do to finish off the row. So this is going to be a row that we're going to repeat. So we're at our last space here. There's 1, 2, and 3. To finish off this row, you can either place a double crochet at the top of your chain 3, but I think it's easier just to place it in between the last 2 stitches. So make a single double crochet in between the last 2 stitches or at the top of your chain 3. So that'll complete row 2. To start row 3, chain 3 again. Turn your work like flipping that page. And we need to start this row with the 2 double crochet cluster. So this counts as our first stitch. We're going to make another stitch right below it. So here's our chain 3. Go ahead and in that gap between your first cluster and the last double crochet from the previous row, make 1 double crochet, like so. Then continue as before, making a cluster of 3 double crochets in each gap or space from the row below. So here we are at the end. We did our last cluster in that space, and now we're going to make 2 double crochets to balance it out, because we started with 2 double crochets, so we're going to end the row with 2 double crochets, and you're going to place them in between the last 2 stitches here. So between this one and the last stitch of that cluster of 3. So there is 1 and 2. So that completes row number 3. And now you're off and running. All you're going to do now is alternate between repeating rows 2 and 3 until you get the desired length that you want. So this, we did 2 double crochets the previous row, so this one's going to start with just 1 double crochet. So we're going to skip these stitches here and crochet 3 double crochets into that first gap. We're at the end of the row again, and since we started with just a single double crochet or that chain 3, we're going to end our row with 1 double crochet. So again, make it in between those last 2 stitches, and that'll complete this row, row 4. And we'll do 1 more together, chain 3, turn your work, and this will be row 5, or it will be the row 3 of the repeat. So we're repeating rows 2 and 3 until you have the length or height that you want. So this one is going to be our 2 double crochet cluster. We're going to make our first double crochet in that gap right below your chain 3. So yarn over and make your double crochet. Then you're going to make your 3 double crochet cluster in each of the gaps or spaces from the previous row. And we're at the end of the row. We got to end with our 2 double crochet cluster. So I'm going to make that right in between this little gap here between our chain 3 from the previous row and our last cluster here. So there's 1 and 2. So that, my friends, is how you do the granny stitch. So it's a super fun and easy stitch that works up quickly. It's a nice relaxing stitch that you don't really have to think too much about. Just kind of go on autopilot and get it done. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I hope you consider making the Granny Gratitude Blanket. I'll link it below. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Share your projects with me on Instagram. I'm at But First Crochet, so I can see how everything's going. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you. See you in the next video.